Well, nice to be back again. Had a few days off since the last video I did. Lots of reasons with the change and what's going on with the pandemic, different rules that we can go to now. So trying to change my stuff to coincide with that, because not everybody is totally locked down anymore. Well, apart from the good guys, and that's us. So today's is Father's Day, shall I say. And I wasn't going to do one for a week, but actually it's been 4 days. I'll get this one done today, and then I'll aim to get maybe 3 a week as we progress and see how that goes. Thank you for the subscribers. There's not going to be a long introduction today. If you can get some more subscribers, that would be great. Rusty Firmin, SAS TV. And everything you need to know about books, you can get from that. So here's my website, quickly, www.rusty-firmin.org/shop. Go there, books and the print behind me are all on there. Suffice to say, it's Father's Day today. And I'm still waiting for a certain present to turn up. Whether it does or not, it's supposed to be delivered today. But in the meantime, just before I go on there, I'll tell you what we're going to talk about in a minute. I'd like to say a big thank you to an American friend of mine, who is actually from the Sheriff's Department, Jacksonville, Florida, who sent me out a couple of items along with some very nice metal, different Sheriff's Department badges, absolutely stunning, not like the British stuff. These things are the real McCoy. So he knew I was a fan, but actually, if you take a look at that, Florida Gators. Okay, there we are. For those who are interested, what a setup that is. One of the biggest in the States. It's not just American football as we know it. It's everything, male and female. And you know, there's all sorts of athletics. There's running, American football, I think it's basketball, all the sports by a huge setup. And I'm proud to accept this and wear it. And that's why I think it's really important to say thank you. So really, the thanks goes to Kia and Tracy, his lovely wife, for sending it out to me from the Sheriff's Department. And I thought I'd wear it today on Father's Day before we get back into the stuff, SAS stuff again next time. But today I'm going to talk about SAS and Delta Force, and the coincidences yet again with me, how they went together and what we did. So I hope it's of interest. I've been asked questions about it. I have to prioritize what I'm doing, where and when, to try and please. Impossible to please everybody, but who dares wins. So today, sorry, I beg your pardon, a few days ago we talked about the SAS and what I did and the medical course and all the rest of the stuff, and how I helped to save at least 3 lives, all in the same squadron. I'm proud to have done that through my medical training. Today though, SAS Delta Force. Well, if I go back to 1977, when I did my selection, there was no Delta Force. People don't realize that it's not an old unit by any means. So why am I mentioning my selection? Well, yet again, as I say, the summer selection of 77 was the starting point of how and when Delta Force may be on the horizon or may not have been on the horizon. And you say, why is that? And I don't blame you. Why is that? Well, the real reason is that because there was no Delta Force, somebody has to start it, I suppose. And if you go back in time, I've talked about selection, what we did. So I'm not going to go back through that again, obviously, because it's quite complex. However, there was a guy on our selection, the old Yank, and day one it was like, who's this guy? What's he doing here? It was never introduced as that, I have to say. But very, very quickly, once we got speaking to him, his name was Bucky Burris. He was on my course, the same course as me and the rest of the lads on the summer selection of 1977. Bucky Burris, an officer. His job was not a pass-fail, okay? His job was to come across here and learn the ropes. In other words, you would like you to do SAS selection. Remember, it was a big course anyway. Couldn't have asked for a better amount of guys on there with different knowledges from different units and different age groups. He, Bucky Burris, would have to collate as well as, you know, do the physical with us on selection, the first part of selection to start with to get in. But as we say, he was a fit guy and a good guy and a Rupert. For those who don't know what a Rupert is, I better tell you. You remember, it's all hair and checks, right? That's a Rupert. Rupert the Bear, got it. So from then on, he was part of selection. So it would be quite easy. It would be, we do our day-to-day stuff and we've got the Hamshank on board. He's making his notes, he's going back, he's doing really well. Respected, liked by the guys, not frightened to converse with the old Brits. Sense of humour, you know, that's always going to be part of it. So that's how it started. And of course, he wanted to learn. And that was really important. We all wanted to learn. But he could have come in and said, yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm such and such. He didn't. He became part of what we were doing, integrated. Remember, we're all the same. He was on the other side of the world, or came from the other side of the world. Yeah, to get beaten up. But funny, the beating up that we took was really good. Hence the picture behind, and of course, it worked. So what he had to do was, once he realised that the rank structure, you know, you get the officer who wants to be called sir, sod that. The highest respect we gave them, and they didn't, or they wouldn't complain, we called them boss. Everybody, lieutenant, captain, work your way up, whoever's on the course. All right, boss. And if it wasn't that, it would be first name terms. There was no lance corporal, corporal, sergeant stuff. It never worked. This was a different unit. This was the SAS. This is where they came to learn their trade, to take back to America, the USA, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget, I'm talking about my time. And then decide what was going to happen. Decisions had to be made at the top level. I was part of that. And some of the great guys I know were part of that as well. So that's where we were. Everybody got on well. And of course, it didn't actually matter what happened. The fact is that once we got through from July to December with the dates of the course, and I'm not going to say exactly what he did because I don't know, but he was part of our course, and he was there at the end, where a lot of people weren't. Important, yes, because can you imagine going back to the States and saying, right, this is it, we're going to set up Delta Force, and I've got the knowledge. Charlie Beckwith, met him, good fun, but that's what they did. He got there, and then he went back, and as I say, July to November, I beg your pardon, July to December were the dates, the 6-month dates of the SAS course. However, he went back, told the story, given the plan, what they learned, could they set up this force called Delta? And I think you'll find that Delta was set up somewhere between the 17th and 19th of November 1977. Founded, if you like. If I'm slightly out somewhere, I apologise, but it's not done. I'm doing from memory mainly of what happened. He went back, yeah, what he'd learned, his knowledge, what he took back, they decided to set up Delta Force. And Delta Force, to this day, is still going. So it was nice to be involved in that particular part of it. Most of the lads, when they're talking to him, give him, I don't know how much knowledge he took back with him, but it was enough for them to say, we want some of that. And we are going to be called Delta Force. Where Delta Force came in, I don't know. But the fact is, we were part of it. I'm proud. And I met some good lads from there. I'll come on to that in a second. What I can say is that Delta Force get respect from me and a lot of the lads I work with and worked with and know and served in the SAS. And I'm sure, from what I've heard, that it's the same way around. You know, there are things that go right and wrong. It doesn't make any difference. Basically, after that, there was nothing. You know, it went back, they set it up, they became part of a unit, and then when we went out to Delta, and it would have been the early 80s, over to North Carolina, Fort Bragg, two of us went across there. We were running the bodyguard cell in 22 SAS. That's going to be another story. But my job for 2 years, along with my colleague, was running the bodyguard course. VIP protection, call it what you want. It changes all the time. But that was my job. Totally enjoyable. So they said, right, we'll send you across to this newly formed lot of lads, and we'll see what happens. We went across there, and for us it became a swan song, because when we got to Delta, they said nobody's home. They've all been deployed. Oh, so we stayed there for I think it was 2 days, had a chat, been shown around, this, that and the other, but there was no training going on because there wasn't anybody there. So that was a bit of a laugh. You get the questions, who's the best Delta of the SAS? In my opinion, all of us have got certain respect towards each other and respect from those who we work with and train, because they're called Delta. It doesn't make any difference. They can't be called SAS if they wanted to be, because we've already got the name. But give them the dues on the training side of life, no problem. They just got on with it. Those like us had operations all over the place, and they've lost men who volunteered to fight for their country. We, exactly the same. We lost lots of guys in my 15 years in the SAS. However, that is part of volunteering to go for the best of the best. So you can forget the Channel 4 crap. And I think you start to understand, if you never did now, that has nothing to do with us. Okay? That is cuckoo land. Let them get on with it. Don't believe it. You know what? They slept well at night in a bed in a hotel. We were the ones who roughed it, and hopefully we're there the next day to fight another day. So I wouldn't say there was a best. We've all done certain stuff, but with that certain stuff, there comes hardships, long periods away from home. I've got long periods away from home. You know, the families have to put up with it. But the fact is that you still go for it. And to get to that pivot, always a little further, is where you're heading for. One day, you might not come home. That goes for Delta, and it goes for the SAS. And that's why I was asked to put this one together, with a bit of thought and respect to the lads who never made it back. That alone, to me, is worth doing. So there is no who's the best. If I was biased, I'd say, of course we are. I ain't biased. We go about jobs differently. We've got different weaponry. We've got different ways of doing things. But to achieve the mission, not like some of the operations that even we've done, you have to put yourself out that little bit further. So I hope you get what I'm trying to say. I was lucky enough to be there at the beginning of Delta Force forming. I'm still alive now. I don't talk about their operations, and I don't talk about our operations ever, so don't even ask the question. It will never happen. I've got a lot in there, and there's more to come. So just bear with it while we're going through this little bit of a changeover in the pandemic. Then, of course, the lads started training with Delta in the early days of my time in B Squadron, the early 80s. There would be things like escape and evasion, exercises. 1 year, the exercise would be in the States. Delta Force would be the Hunter Force, and the SAS would be the want-to-be escapees. The following year, reversal. Like playing home and away football matches. Yeah, come on, arsehole. You guys do the running, we'll do the chasing. Same thing, same goal, same everybody learning, everybody seeing how it works. And of course, that paved the way again for a lot of cross-training, as we call it. USA, UK, USA, that type of stuff with Delta Force. And, you know, some of them were enjoyable, inhospitable, of course. You know what? SAS and Delta are used on high value operations, not Mickey Mouse stuff. Bear that in mind. They don't want to be wasted. And of course, that's the way it did. You know, that's the way that it was. So the Hunter Force was always the best. You could chase and, you know, the running away bit was fun. But actually the chasing, I used to love. I've got a love of dogs anyway. And we used to chase them and chase them and chase them. And it takes you back to the old Lonnie Donegan song when it was opposite way around in New Orleans, all those years ago. So, unlike Channel 4 again, you got caught, number, rank and name, date of birth, bust. No stories. Kids do stories, okay? I'll tell you a story. It didn't happen. Number, rank and name and date of birth, the big four. Then, of course, after that, there was joint operations with them. I'm not going to go into the operations. Suffice to say, dangerous, of course. So, I've given you an insight into how the SAS Delta went together, rather than just answering a question on a comment on the page. I figure that you know a fair bit now of how it worked, how it started, where they were formed, who formed it. Bucky Burris, Charlie Beckwith were the front runners, and Delta is performing well to this day, as is the SAS. So with that, trust between each other, and of course, who dares wins. Thank you. Happy Father's Day.